Dr. Osama Kashwa, and this is the managerial accounting, and we will go to the theoretical part. On this lecture today, we are going to talk about the theoretical part, and I will start with the chapter 6, but first I will share the screen. I will share the screen. So the most important points in chapter 6 here, now we will go to, is from page 1. We'll go to page 1. And here we go for the business cycle, the budgeting cycle. Budgeting means for planning for the future. When you talk about the future, then you are budgeting. But if we say, as example, the balance sheet, the difference between the balance sheet and the budgeting is the balance sheet is talking about the past, while budgeting is talking about the future. This is the first point. So we have a budgeting cycle. Yes, we have a budgeting cycle. How is it going? First, performing planning, because budgeting is all about planning, providing a frame of references, investigating variations, the variations between, we need to know the difference between the standards and the planned and the actual activities, the results. Then we will take, because we will take a corrective actions based on comparing between the standards or the planned and the actual results. We will take the corrective actions. Finally, we will plan again whatever we have a deviation about. We will plan again whatever we have a deviation about. The master budget, like you see here, the master budget is consisting of two parts: operating decisions and financial decisions. So it's not only operating decisions and neither financial decisions alone, but master budget consists of operating and financial decisions. And this is another point which we want to talk about. Then we will move into what are the advantages of budgets? Why do we do budgeting? Why do we do budgeting? What's the advantage? What are the good points of it? First, compels strategic planning, because it includes the planning itself. Second, a positive framework for judging performance. It's very good for judging the performance as well. Third, it motivates employees, because we are employees. When we know we will participate in the budget and we put the goals by our own self, so we will, inside us, there will be a kind of commitment to achieve what we planned for, what we shared in planning. We will be happy to do this with enthusiasm, because we want it. We did this, we planned for it. So we are all sharing the ideas and the action into achieving these goals, which we previously set the plan of it. Promotes coordination also, yeah, because in the budgeting, all the parties are coordinating with each other because it's a set of plans is harmonized together and coordinated together. So it needs a partner or a share of the ideas and good communication in between the members of the organization. Strategy planning and budgets. So what's the meaning of strategy planning and budgets? The strategy analysis consists of long-term planning and short-term planning. So for the long-term planning, I will need a long-run budget. And for the short-run planning, I will need a short-run budget. So I have two kinds of budgets, long-run and short-run. I have two kinds of budgets that are long-run and short-run budgets. Okay. What about the time span of the budget itself? As example, the budget will cover how long? Budgets typically have a set time period, months, quarter, year, based on the type of budget which you are using. If it is annually, then it's every 1 year. Quarterly means every 3 months. Monthly means every month. This time period can itself be broken into sub-periods. As example, like when you see the country's plan, as example, the 5 years plan, it is set of components, it's set of sectors. As example, it's 5 plans, each plan for 1 year. Then they all together make the 5 years plan. So what I mean here is that the time period of the plan itself can be splitted into parts. But wait a minute, those parts must be inconsistently, I mean, they must be together, never be objection between them or contradiction between one part of the plan and the other part. As example, if you divide the 5 years plan into yearly, segmenting it into yearly plan, then every year should be inconsistent with the other, not inconsistent, should be consistent with the other, should be coordinated, no contradiction between them. Okay, the most frequently used budget period is 1 year. So most of the budgets are used are 1 year. Business are increasingly using a rolling budget, and this is another kind. So this was a question, like if I ask you a question here and told you, like if I insert a new slide, and here it is, and we will say here, what are then control and V, time coverage of budgets. Then I need your answers here, please. I will stop here for a few minutes and I will need your answers on this part. Here we go. Here we go. So yeah, here is the answer of my question. You will put it here. What are the time coverage of budgets? How it is, how long it is. So we said usually they are 1 year, but then we have quarterly, semi-quarterly. This is the answer of the question. We'll move now to another part, operating budget example. This is another showed me about the example of the budgets. I will move now to slide number 33. These are some things which I want you to know about. Financial planning models. We have something is called the financial planning models. The financial planning models, like we use it as a template or we use it as something will help us for the financial planning. Financial planning models are mathematical representations of the international among operating activities, financial activities, and other forecasts that affect the master budgets. So this is the financial planning. Okay, we'll go to 34, slide 34. This is the software. Software package are now readily available to reduce the computational burden and time required to prepare a budget. So it's ready made now. It's ready made. The budgeting, we have a programs for the budgeting itself. You just feed it with the inputs. That's it. These packages assist managers to do sensitivity analysis. What do we mean by sensitivity analysis? What do we mean by the word sensitivity? I want you to search it. Sensitivity analysis means like what if analysis. So you have to put different categories or different imagination. For example, the future. You might say the future might be mild, and might be promising, like prosperous future. Like as example, if we're talking about economic, then you will put 3 plans. This are the sensitive. This is the meaning of the sensitive. You will put a plan for in case of recession, in case of a mild economic conditions, and in case of inflation. So you will put 3 different plans. This is what we call it sensitivity analysis. Okay, let me give you an example for the sensitivity analysis also. If I tell you today that I will come to you today at night, I will come to visit you at night. Okay, so you would say, in case it rain, okay, in case it didn't rain, I will come to visit you at night 100%. In case it rain, like I will come to visit you 20%. But in case it did not rain, but I am very busy, I will come to see you by like around 30%. So this we call it sensitivity analysis. You put one plan, but you put different scenarios for different cases or states of nature. Okay. Sensitivity analysis, here what if, because it depends on the what of parameter of the budget where to change. Like I told you, what if this happened, then what you will do? What if this happened, then what you will do? Like that way. For example, what if the selling price of the expected to be 230 instead of 240? What are expected revenues then? Okay, if the prices will increase, then what are you expecting the revenues to increase as well? This is the meaning of the sensitivity analysis. So I will have here a question about the sensitivity analysis, and I will put it for you here, a new slide. What do we mean by the word sensitivity analysis. And you will have a few minutes to answer this question, please. Okay, then let's go after this to the next point. The next point is that's slide 30. Okay, now we will go to slide number 43 because I need here 38 sensitivity analysis, 39 cash budget, then here 40, still we have examples, 141, I will go to 45. 45 is including a very important theoretical part, which is kaizen. What do we mean by the word kaizen? Kaizen is Japanese use of kaizen for continuous improvement. So kaizen in Japanese means continuous improvement. And actually this is found in all the programs of the quality, because quality, like we said, it's a kind of philosophy. So kaizen is a kind of philosophy as well. Kaizen budgeting is an approach that explicitly incorporate continuous improvement during the budget period into the budget number. So I will improve the budget. I will improve the budget as long as there are numbers. I have to improve the numbers as long as I'm working on the budget. So this is called Kaizen. 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 So what is Kaizen? This is all I will take as a question also. And I will add here new slide. And I will put and say, what is Kaizen? Control and V. This is a question now. And you will answer it as well. So search Google also for extra information about Kaizen, and that will be fine. We'll go now to 54, slide number 54. We have something that's called the activity-based budgeting. Means it's based on the activities itself, and we have also. This is very important, the responsibility centers for the budgeting. It is any part or segment or subnet of business that needs control. Any part that will need a control, we call it responsibility center. So any part that will need control, we'll call it responsibility center. Those are the types of responsibility centers: cost center, profit center, investment centers. So this is another question we will have here. We will put in new slide. And we will say, what are the types of responsibility system centers? What are the types? Are the types of responsibility centers? And notice that this is as long as we are budgeting, doing a budget, as long as we are working on any correction or any control of any business process, there must be responsibility centers, means people who are in charge of doing this. So I will notice that always we have authority and responsibility, and both of them are inseparable. Thank you so much. We'll move on now to another part, another chapter, which I believe is chapter 7. And in chapter 7 here, we are going to talk about first about page 3 in chapter 7. It's telling me what kind of budgeting do I have. I have a static and flexible budgetings. I have both of the static and the flexible budgetings together. So we have a static budget based on planned level of outputs as a start of the budget period. So planned level of outputs only. Flexible budget is based on budget revenues and cost based on actual level of outputs. So the static budget will be depending on the planned outputs, but the flexible budget will depend on the actual level of outputs. Okay. If I say like this as example, the question here, and I put a new slide, and I said budget, or this kind of budget, like this budget, depend upon, then here I will say the question. So this revenues and cost based on actual level of outputs. Then what is it? What the kind? Is it a static budget or flexible budget? Then we will say here, is it a static or flexible budget? Then is it static or flexible budget? Then I have to choose or none. I have to choose one of them. Is it based on actual? As long as it's actual, then this is a static budget. And let's go back to see it. So the actual depends on the actual outputs is the flexible budget, as we said. Is it the flexible budget? So those are two kinds of budgets. We'll go now to slide number 42. On slide number 42 here, we have performance measurements using variances. Variances mean the difference, the gap in between the actual results and the planned or the standards. So effectiveness is the degree to which predetermined objectives is target to me. Efficiency is the relative amount of inputs used to achieve a given level of outputs. Variances should not be solely to be used evaluation performance. Okay. Uh, what I want to say here that the effectiveness always care about how to do the thing, regardless of the costs. It doesn't care about the costs. But efficiency is very important for in the efficiency to handle the costs. And the more that you are efficient, no, if let me put an example, small example. If you have a jeans pant of $30, it's doing the job, everything, then this is efficient. But if you have a pant of $300, it's also doing this job, but this is effective. Why? Efficient care about the money, thrifting. But the effectiveness, it doesn't care about the money, but it care about taking the right decision. So the one of $300 will long last with you more than 5 years, 6 years. You will always wear it and you will use it use. But the one of $30, it will stay, it won't long last that time. So whenever there are objection or contradiction between the effectiveness and the efficiency, we usually take the effectiveness, because the effectiveness means it's to care about. If I have a bridge, like for the pedestrians, like people who will walk in between two banks of a river, if I put two trunks of tree, this is efficiency because I care about thrifting. But if I did it concrete bridge, then this is effectiveness. So the effectiveness, do the things right, no matter how it costs you. But the efficiency care only about the thrifting, and about the economic, about no waste, and the best uses of resources. This is the efficiency. Uh, we'll go to 56 or 57. What do we mean by the word benchmarking? Because everyone knows this benchmarking means I will select a pioneer for myself. I will select a pioneer or a leader and I will imitate him. I will do the same like what he's doing. I will not be inventor as long as I don't have the initiative or the creative soul. Then why I should follow the successful models? This is the meaning of benchmarking. It refers to the continuous process of measuring products, services, and activities against the best level. Against the best level. This is the benchmark, the best level of performance. So I will check out for who is taking actions in the best levels of performance, and I will imitate those kinds of people or those kind of organizations. They will be for me like a benchmark. Benchmark is a sole ideal, and you are imitating the sole ideal here. It's the meaning of the benchmark. So I'm imitating the best. I'm not doing inventing by my own self. No. Why should I? As long as I'm not having creative people, I don't. So why don't I imitate the others who are success in the way, who have successful history or records? So I will imitate them. This is the meaning of the benchmark. This chapter also. So I will go now to another chapter, which is, yeah, Uh, Let me go now to here. Decision making. It's very important to talk about the decision making and relevant informations because it's one of the main points which we have to talk about. Let me see first when we go the 5 steps decision process to make decisions. What are they? Uh, we had before how to make a decision. First of all, there must be a problem. Second thing is to identify the alternatives, to say what are the alternatives for solution. Third thing is to evaluate every alternate. Evaluate means to see what are the pros and what the cons, what are the good points and what are the bad points in this. Okay, in this alternate. After that, you will choose among the alternatives because this is the core of decision making. Choose in between the alternatives. You have to choose one of the alternates. Then, after this, after you implement it, you choose the alternate, you will implement it, you will move into action. After implementing the alternates, you will just check back for the feedback to check out was this alternate the right part or no. So we have 5 steps in decision making. Okay, let me say as example, I don't want to be late. I have an appointment now after half an hour, and I don't want to be late. So I define the problem that I don't want to get late. Second part, I will ask myself, what are the alternatives to go to my appointment? First, use my car. Second, this is alternative. Second alternate is to use a taxi. Third alternate to ask someone of you guys to come and drop me there. Fourth is to use the TTC or the bus. Fifth is a free ride. Just stand down here in Kennedy and stop and try to call a car. Whenever cars are passing by, just signal to them to take me in their way. So I have many ways. So those are the alternatives. Third step is to evaluate each alternate. Means that I will see what are the positives and the negatives of each alternate. By other meaning, I will check, okay, this if I go by my car, yeah, this will save time, but I will spend too much gas. If I use a taxi, it will take too much time and it will take too much gas. If I use the TTC, no, this will be late. I will reach there very late. Okay, if I have a Uber, yeah, but the Uber might stop in the way to take another passengers, and this will take time. So the best alternate is to use my car. Now I evaluate each alternate with the cost benefit analysis. The fourth step is choose only one alternate, and this is the core of the decision making. So here I will choose only to go by my own car, my private car, because it will save time. Okay. After this, evaluate or the feedback. Did this alternate which I choose to do achieved what I was looking for? I mean, did I reach in time or I reach late to my appointment? What happened? Did I reach in time or I reach late? So I will stop and say for the feedback, just check, did this alternate recognize or achieved what it's supposed to be or no? So those are the things which is actually we care about when we uh, make a decision making. And the decision making also, like we said here, quantitative, like you see, and qualitative. Quantitative depends on the numbers, on the digits, and this is the most accurate one. It's full of accuracy. To depends on math, the math model, the mathematical, like you saw as example in forecasting. We have the quantitative methods of forecasting, and we studied together the least squares. The least squares, how to predict using the equation of y equals alpha plus beta x, and how we will get the numbers, the number, the forecast of the sales in whatever you want for a series. But the qualitative, this one, the qualitative, is not that nice. Because of what? Because the qualitative is depending on the opinions of the people. So here, the quantitative is objective means of decision making, objective mean, but here qualitative is subjective, which is not objective. I mean, means the accuracy in the quantitative is more than the qualitative, which depends on the people's opinions. and people opinions might be right, might be wrong, but numbers will never dismiss you, or numbers will never confuse you. So the quantitative is better. Those are the 5 steps decision process: gather information, make prediction, choose the alternate, implement the decision, evaluate the performance. Those are our 5 steps of decision making. Very important about this. And here is a question. Here we go for a question. Like we say here, what are Control and V, 5 steps of decision making, decision process. And here is the question tag. And here is your answers. You will put your answer here. And I will wait for you to answer it on Google Classroom. What are the 5 steps of decision making? That's fine. Cool. Now we'll go to the meaning of relevances. The meaning of relevances. And relevance means cost and relevant revenues are expected futures, cost and revenues that differ among alternative courses of actions. Relevant. We have historical costs, we have sunk costs, we have differential costs, and we have differential income and differential costs. We'll move after this into slide number 16. And slide number 16 is telling me the 2 potentials problem in relevant cost analysis. We have 2 problems here in the relevant cost analysis. Incorrect general assumptions, the assumptions on which I based my own opinion. As example, if I want the word assumption, what do we mean by the word assumption? I'm talking about the word assumption. If I say as example that I, in the morning, went to start my engine, car engine, and I found it's not working. So I will put some assumptions. Assumptions, like I would say, maybe there is no water in the radiator. Maybe there is no fuel, like no gas. Maybe the car, something in the electricity circles of the car is not well. Maybe. So all those are assumptions. Those are the assumptions. Okay, so you might, one of the problems of the potential problems in relevant cost analysis is that you set a wrong assumptions. Means something, assumption is a cause and effect relationship. You imagine that this is the reason for the effect. This is the cause for this effect. Okay, so you will say maybe, okay, I have headache maybe because I didn't sleep yesterday so long, or I have headache maybe because I have a constipation. I have headache maybe because I walk so long in the sun. I have headache. So those are the assumptions. Reason why you put, it's reason why. And everyone is having his own series of assumptions. So everyone is different than the other in this point. Incorrect general assumptions, all variables costs are relevant. This is another problem. All fixed costs are irrelevant. And this is another point. The second part of problems is the misleading units cost data. Include irrelevant costs, use same units cost at different outputs level. And this is big mistake, because the cost of 10 units is not like the cost of 100 units. And we said this before. Why? Because the more you produce, the less each share of the fixed costs, and increase in the variable costs. So on different levels or categories of production units produced, there are different levels of costs. So you cannot say this is okay. What do we mean by the outsourcing and what do we mean by the insourcing? Actually, what do we mean by the outsourcing and the insourcing? Outsourcing is purchasing goods and services from outside vendors. This is the outsourcing. So I go to outers and buy from them what I need for the company. My raw materials, which I need, I buy it from outside the company. Insourcing is producing goods and providing services within the organization. This is insourcing means, why shall I buy? Why shall I buy? I can do it here. Okay. Why shall I buy this part? I can do it here. You can also imagine it as at the country as a whole. Outsourcing when I get my needs from outside of the country. but the insourcing, and it's used globally also. So global outsourcing means that you bring your needs from another countries, but insourcing, you depend on yourself and in your country in producing what you need. So this is the outsourcing and the insourcing. So I will ask a question here also, because this part is very important, of course. This part is very important. And we'll stop here and ask and say the question, Control and C. And we will add a slide here now, and we'll say here, Control and V, what are the outsourcing and insourcing. And I will stop here for a few minutes to get your answer, and the answer should be on Google Classroom, please. So what are the outsourcing and what are the insourcing? It is what we need to know. This is another part which we came for, and now we will move into make or buy decisions. Also, it's the same thing. Shall I make it or shall I buy it? What will be cheaper for me? Shall I make this or shall I buy it? This is what I will do. Like, okay, make or buy decisions examples. If I make it, it will cost like this 100. If I will buy it from outside, it will cost me only 80. So I will buy it from outside, is better for me. As example, here in Canada, most of the goods are imported from other countries, because if you make it in Canada, it will cost you more because of the labor's costs. So it's better for you to buy it from outside. So the imports here, the quotas of the imports of the consumer goods, and this is very high, because of if it is produced here, it will cost so much. For that reason, they buy it, or Canadians buy it from outside. Make or buy decisions examples like mixed overhead, Bismarck's, total materials handling. So all those are just examples for the make or buy. Let me say here a question also, and I will put here as a question for this part. When to use make or buy decisions? When to use make or buy decisions? Like I told you, again I'm saying, if I will, this also the answer on Google Classroom. I will take the answer, receive the answers on Google Classroom for this question. I'll stop and make the answer for Google Classroom. When to make and when to buy? I will make it if the cost of the units or the product which I need or the raw materials is higher than buying it. So I will make it. But if I buy it from outside cheaper than if I make it inside the factory or this, so it's better for me to buy it from outside. And I gave you example on the countries itself, and what apply in the countries can apply also on the systems on the levels of the regular people or the regular systems. We'll go now to 50, slide 52. We have kind of equipment replacement decisions, and we have also here, we have also to know about the performance evaluations. What I want you to know that the top management always are facing challenges that makes sure that the performance evaluation models of subordinate managers inconsistent with the decision models. So always make sure that you take the 5 steps of the decision-making process: identifying the problem, identifying the alternates, evaluating the alternates, choosing one alternate of the other alternates, this alternate, after this follow up this alternate, and check if it was right or in the wrong. You move into action, then feedback if this alternate do the best or no, or was the best or no. This was about 11. I will go now to 12. I will go now to 12, and actually also in 12, the main important points of 12 are page 3. Let us go to page 3. Major influences on pricing decisions. We are talking now about what are the factors affecting the pricing decisions. We have customer influences prices. The customer is influencing the prices of the through the demand, because if there is high demand, then the prices will go high. If there is low demand for your products, then the prices will go low. Competitors also influence the price. As much as there are too many competitors in the markets, like a perfect competition market, then expect the prices of the goods and the inputs to be lower, as long as the you have a competition. And free competition means a lot of buyers and sellers in the markets. Free competition means there are a lot of buyers and sellers in the markets. Cost influence prices because they affect supply as well. This is another point. Cost influence, because the costs, you will put your profit margin, or you will set your prices with adding profit margin into the costs. If it costs you $100, you will not sell it with 100. You have to sell it with 120. So you said the cost is 100 plus I need for myself a profit margin of $20, then I will sell it for $120. This is how it works. We'll go now to page 4 and page then 5, slide 5. Time horizon for the pricing decision. So the pricing itself of any organization, we have two types: short-run decisions and long-run decisions for the pricing, for your pricing, because in the short run, nothing will happen so much, no changes in the prices. But the change in the prices always happen too much occur in the long run. Have a time horizon of less than a year. This is the short run. And the pricing, one of time, only special orders, adjusting products, mixed and output volume. But the long term or the long run decisions involve time horizon of a year or longer. So here less than a year in the short, and in the long it will be more than 1 year pricing. Pricing a product is a major market where pricing setting has some leeway. Okay, so expect that the prices will be changed in the long run, not in the short run. So you have to decide to yourself, okay, what is the time horizon of the prices decisions? This is another question. So I will put here new slide, and I will say what are, then Control and V, time horizon of pricing decisions. And I need your answers as well in this part. And I'll stop for Google Class to tell me there are two types of decisions regarding pricing. Long run decisions and short run decisions. And this is what we have here in this point. After this, we'll go to slide number, we have 7, we have 8, costing and pricing for the short run. This is an example, so I don't need it now. I'm just covering the, I will go to slide number 17. I'm covering here the theoretical part, because the practical part we are covering in another place. Then we need 20. Target price and target costs. What are the difference between the target price in the usually? So the target price is the estimated price for a product or services that potential customer will be willing to pay. So target price, okay, target operating income per unit. So target price minus target operating income will give me the target cost per unit. I just need you to know that the target price is the estimated price. Target price, the word, it's the idiom. The word target price is the estimated price for a product or services that potential customers will be willing to pay. So here we say, what is the target price? Another slide, and I will put it here and say, what is the target price? What is the, then we'll put here target price and target cost. And I don't need the target cost, I need only the target price, so it won't be misleading you here. So this is the prices which I'm up to determine for the my products is the targeted price, and which is at the same time the client or the buyer is ready to pay. So we call it target price. We'll go to slide number now, 26. 26. This is, we call it non-value added costs, but it's not as important for me. And 27 here, then we'll go to 28. What do we mean by logged in costs? What do we mean in managerial accounting by the word logged in cost? There are those costs that have not yet been incurred, but which, based on decisions that have already been made, will be incurred in the future. So this cost did not happen yet, did not incur yet, but it will incur in the future. That's what we call it logged in costs. Again, currently this cost is not existing, but in the future it will be existing. These are the costs that have not been incurred, but which, based on decisions that have already been made, will be incurred in the future. So those costs will happen extra in the future. It is difficult to alter to reduce costs that are already logged in. So you cannot alter or change it. You can hardly change it. So this is what we call it logged in costs, and this is also because your exams will be including some of these points. So we have to add it here because it's idioms, very important. What are then logged in costs? And I say here, what are logged in costs? And I will wait for the answers on Google Class as well. Also, when we move into uh, slide number 29, I finish here 30. Yeah, 28. Logged in, we said about the logged in, and this is a curve showed is the logged in cost curve, and this is the one which is happening, the actual costs. The logged in is a future one, so those are because you will have both of them after this together. Okay, this is the value chain or how it will be measured. I will need 20 cost incurrence and logged in costs at the end of the design stage, direct materials, direct manufacturing labor, and many manufacturing markets, distributions, and customer services costs are logged in. So this is, but it always be in the future. I will go now to slide number 50 to 56. Yeah, 50 to 56, the end of this chapter. Okay. We here need to know, describe two pricing practices in which cost factors are important when setting prices. They are price discrimination and peak load pricing. So other consideration in pricing decisions, those are the 2 points which we have to care about, which is price discrimination and peak load pricing. So what are the differences between them? Price discrimination law. Price discrimination law. Under the US and one of the countries, of course, which is making the laws regarding the price discrimination, Patman Acts, a manufacturer cannot price discriminate between two customers if the intent is to listen or prevent competition for customers. So you cannot sell for someone with a price and sell for someone else with another price. This is not justice and this is not fair, and we call it price discrimination. Again, a manufacturer cannot price discriminate between two customers, means cannot make a price with one price for one customer and another price for the other, if the intent is to listen or prevent competition for customers. This, if it was his purpose, is to stop the competition between the between two customers. the customers themselves. Price discrimination law is very important to also talk about it. They apply manufacturers, not services providers. So it's for regarding the customers, but not for the services. So price discrimination laws, they apply to manufacturers, not service providers. Service providers, they can discriminate in prices, not a problem. The services can discriminate, but the goods or the manufactured goods, no, it cannot. It must be the same price. The cigarette packet is the same price everywhere. The bottle of Pepsi or the cans are the same everywhere. But if you go to a doctor or if you go to an engineer, he might make his fees like this or make his fees like that. It differ from a person to another person. Or in the same doctor's example, he might say, as example, I have a quick diagnosis with this price. I have a waiting list diagnosis with this price. So for the services, not a big deal. It's not a problem. But for the goods, it is very big problem if you discriminate in pricing. Price discrimination is permissible if differences in prices can be justified by differences in costs. So if I will say I put different prices because this is a very high quality, it cost me too much, the product, and this is a low quality, it costs me just a little. There's a watch like this, should be with $10 somewhere, but another watch with a high quality might be $2,000 or $3,000. So based on the quality of the inputs which is used, the raw materials, I can make the price high or I can make a price discrimination as long as it is justified. Price discrimination law, predatory pricing occur when? What is the predatory pricing? Predatory pricing means that you will put a very low prices so that you will control the markets. Usually it's used by some countries. They use the predatory pricing so that to penetrate in the markets, in the foreign or global markets. They use this strategy to price with a lower price, to put price with lower price, so they can control the markets which they will work in. The predator company charges a price that is below an appropriate measures of its costs, and the predator company has a reasonable prospect of recovering in the future the money is lost by pricing below cost. Because yes, my profit margin may be low when I make the prices lower, the profit margin will be low, but in the same time, in the long run, I will have a big market slice. I will have big market slice, or I will take a big market share, a great proportion of the market, because I will sell more, because the price is less. As long as the price is less, I will sell more and more. This is the predatory's main ideas, is to produce, is to price, to put your price of your products, especially in global markets, in out of your country's markets, just put the prices lower, very low, and be satisfied by just reasonable profits, little profits. But in the long run, because the people will buy your product as long as it's cheaper, there will be highly demanded, and people will be willing to pay for it, and your sales will increase in the long run. So it will substitute your little profit margin. So now be satisfied with little profits in the short run, but in the long run, the returns will be higher. This is the idea of the, okay. Most courts in the United States have defined the appropriate measures of cost as the short-run, marginal, and the average variable costs. Dumping. What do you mean by the dumping? The word dumping occurs when a non-US company sells a product in the United States as a price below the market's value in the country of its creation, and its action injures an industry. And this is also, the dumping is kind of lowering the price. It's kind of also penetrating. It's a market penetration as well. because it include reducing the price into lower levels. So I will be able to penetrate the markets and sell more and more and more. Even might be the costs or the selling price less than the selling price in its origin companies. As example, if I said the company X, country X is exporting to the United States any product, and this country X, the product there in the United States, the price is $2, but it's in the country X which exported it, it's only like $2 and a half. So the price in the United States will be less than the price in its origin country of exports. So it do like this dumping because it needs to penetrate the markets and over control and overwhelm the whole markets. This is also not very preferable, and it's rejected policy because it really destroy the local industries, because the local industries will not be able to compete. Such a case, it will not be able to compete. Price discrimination, colossal pricing occurs when companies in an industry inspire their pricing and output decisions to achieve a price above the competitive price. So this was the end of chapter 12, and all I want you is just to study those 3 chapters very well. Thank you so much. Enjoy your night and have a good day. Bye bye to everyone.